Hello my lovely friends, it's Margaret, and it is time for a rather belated August wrap-up. I recognize that I was supposed to film this like 3 weeks ago. Or a week and a half ago. I don't even know where we are in September. What even is the date at this point in my life? I don't know. I just know I'm filming this. It's not going to go up for another week and a half. It's late. Sue me. I had a rather interesting reading month this month. Everything was either a 5-star or a 3-star. Like, I was either like, yes, this is the best book ever, or this was a book. Not my greatest read. Well, considering that there are more 5 stars than 3 stars, probably a pretty decent reading month. Maybe not my best, but you know, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Sometimes you wish you'd read more books that you enjoyed. Alright, so diving in as usual with the stats for this month, I read 7 books in the month of August. That comes to 2,430 pages. For the format breakdown, I read 4 audiobooks, 2 physical books, and 1 ebook. The age categories break down to 3 adult, 3 YA, and 1 middle grade. The genre breakdown is 4 contemporary books, 2 fantasy books, 1 historical fiction book. I'm starting to wonder who I even am anymore, y'all. What's going on? For the ratings, I read 4 5-star books and 3 3-star books. All 7 of those books were books that I already owned or borrowed from my brother. And 4 of those books came from my TBR, including both of my TBR jar picks from August. I did so good this month, y'all. My favorite book of the month is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. Yes, I know it's a reread, but it is also one of my favorite books of all time. And my least favorite book was All the Pretty Things by Emily Arsenault. So the first book I finished in August was All the Pretty Things by Emily Arsenault. All the Pretty Things is a YA mystery about Ivy, who spends most of her summers working at her father's amusement park, Fabuland. However, when this summer's season opens up, things are not quite as they should be. One of Ivy's co-workers, Ethan, has died tragically, and things aren't quite adding up. This was okay. It was supposed to be a mystery slash thriller, and while I think it did some of the psychological and the mind game aspects of thrillers pretty well, I never really felt like there was a good reason for her to be getting involved. It was really weird. The first 40% or so of the book, it never felt like she was actually suspicious. She was just being nosy, and so I'm sitting there going, you're just rude. Why do you even care? Why are you even going into this? There really wasn't a reason for her to care about this kid's death. I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. She starts to get suspicious towards the halfway mark and be like, hey, maybe some things are not adding up. But I wish we'd just had that moment of things are not adding up. Maybe I should be looking into this a little bit earlier. Just maybe a little early. I did really like some of the interplay between the characters. I liked that small town aspect of it. The fact that everyone kind of seemed to know everybody. I liked the family dynamics that were going on in the story. Like, she did the character stuff really, really well. And then the other thing that really kind of bugged me about this is I didn't feel like there was a lot of follow through with a few of the plot points at the end. I didn't feel like the audience got a satisfying conclusion to some of the conflicts that were going on in the main character herself's life. The other thing that I do want to point out or talk about is the kid that dies is disabled. He has Down syndrome. And I'm not sure how I feel about the fact that the only character with a disability is dead from before the novel. But I also like the fact that the main character was pushing against this idea, the ease with which people were brushing over this kid's death because they were basically using his Down syndrome to kind of explain away why she died, and she's sitting there going, no, but he was independent. It doesn't make sense. I liked that she was kind of pushing back against that idea, but at the same time, there's no other disabled rep in this book. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure how well done that was. I think that we would need to look to someone who maybe knows a little more to kind of judge what's going on there. I think if you're looking for a kind of ruminatory thriller type, you like a good setting, you like the atmospheric stuff, this might be a good one for you. I thought she did the atmosphere of the amusement park and the characters really well. I just didn't really like the ending, and I didn't particularly feel that the whole mystery aspect was justified. I think you could have made a few tweaks, made it more of a suspenseful contemporary, and you would have had a better, stronger plot, maybe. So after being slightly disappointed by that particular book, I wanted something that was going to be like a for sure win with me. So I read Take a Hint. Yep, Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I can never keep the two, because yeah, I can't keep them straight. apparently neither can the author, so I don't feel bad about it. Take a hint, Dani Brown is an adult romance about graduate student Dani Brown. She is not interested in romance or a relationship, just sex. So when she gets rescued from a faulty elevator by the extremely attractive security guard Zaf, she thinks fate has finally thrown her a bone. However, Zaf might have different ideas about what he wants out of a relationship. This was delightful. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I had so much fun reading this book. It did take, like, the first bit. Actually, no, I don't know how far I was in before I stopped being, like, having to put it down because of secondhand embarrassment, but that's a normal thing for me in romances. I'm just like, this is about to get tense, this is about to get weird, this is, like, I need to put this down, something emotional is about to happen. I have issues, guys, I know. This was hilarious, this was fun, I liked the cameos we get with Dani's sisters, like, the whole family aspect of these three women. I would read a series that is about them interacting. I enjoy it so much. I also liked getting to see Red, especially Red's, I think, second cameo, because that was really funny. It was just really funny. I loved Zaf. He was like the antithesis of toxic masculinity, and it made me so freaking happy. I just love it when we explore and confront toxic masculinity, and like his main goal is to explore and confront it, and I just, where do you find guys like that? Please let me know. I also like that in their relationship, they broke a lot of the traditional, like, I guess, stereotypes, maybe, when it comes to romance and where men and women fit in a relationship when you're talking about a heterosexual relationship. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really fun. I love the fact that, like, Zaf reads romance novels. Yeah, Talia Hibbert knows how to subvert a trope, guys, okay? She knows how to subvert a trope. Another thing that I do like is that it has trigger warnings at the very beginning of the novel. Where are they? There's my lunch. There's an author's note in both this and Get a Life, Chloe Brown, that just is like, hey, here are some issues that are going to come up in the course of the novel. If you would like to know about them, you should know about them. I will have them listed down below in my description box if you want to check those out. But all in all, I just like, read this book. It's good. So from that winning moment, I decided that we should just keep the streak going, and I picked up The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. The Lightning Thief is a middle grade fantasy about Percy Jackson, a 12-year-old kid who finds out that his father is Poseidon, and it's kind of ruining his life. It should be no one's surprise that this is one of my favorite books I read this month because it's one of my favorite books of all time. Like, just every time I read it, I notice something new. The thing that I noticed this time, which really blew me away, was how emotionally aware Percy is as a person. Like, there were just so many instances where he was sitting back, noticing other people's feelings and going, okay, let's, like, he's like really good at mitigating situations and being like, okay, I need to, like, we need, like, he just was really aware of other people's feelings and taking those into account in his actions, and I really appreciated that. Again, we're not for toxic masculinity on this channel. We like it when boys are doing the opposite of the Jedi motto, and like, maybe we should acknowledge our emotions and deal with them instead of just bottling them all up. It's Percy Jackson. You know I love it. You know I love Greek mythology. I love retellings. I especially love retellings of Greek mythology. I love the children in this book. I have an entire video on reasons why you should watch the Percy Jackson series, so I'll have that linked up top and in the description box below. Go watch that, or just, you know, read the book because I said it was good. You could also do that and make me happy, and then come back and tell me that you read the book because I said it was good. You don't have to like the book, I just need you to read it. The next book that I picked up was Rooftops of Tehran by Mabod Siraji. Rooftops of Tehran is an adult historical fiction about Pasha, a young man growing up in 1970s Iran, as he navigates friendship, life, love, and even politics in the highly tumultuous period leading up to the Iranian Revolution of 1979. I, for the most part, really liked the writing style in this book. There were places where it was a little cringy when it came to the romance, but like at the same time, it's a 17-year-old boy or a 16-year-old boy, so it's gonna be a little cringy because romance and 16-year-old boy, or romance and teenager, not like the gender does not matter, it's just like teenager and in love. Those two things make things a little cringy sometimes. Another thing that I really liked about this book was the way the friendship between the main character and his friends was communicated. They are so affectionate, and not just like verbally affectionate, like physically affectionate. They are not afraid to be that way. Like there's nobody like giving you a quick hug and be like, no homo. They're just like full on, like, you're my best friend, man. They're crying with each other. They're giving each other hugs. It's so good and pure and wholesome. And if you're looking for just like boys who love each other without worrying why they love each other, read this book. Like they're not threatened by it. And this is just basically like the message of this video is our society would be better if men were not threatened by emotions, especially affection. It's a societal thing that we have created in this country, and it's toxic, and it is not good for our men and boys. So I really like that. I really liked the language and the way he described things. I really, really love the author's letter. He said it was kind of like a love letter to his home in Tehran. The only thing that I really had an issue with was the love interest. Not really the love interest. Let's expand that. How the women were portrayed, especially the love interest. It's a very objectifying kind of gaze. He's not being gross about it necessarily, but it's still kind of like the main female character only exists to be pined after by the main character. She only exists to be a potential mate, to be a potential wife. There really isn't, like, we don't get to know her. We don't get to know what she is interested in. We know a little bit about, like, one talent that she has or one thing that she does. That bugged me. And every time I started getting into the story and being like, okay, maybe I can forgive the fact that we're not doing a good job by our female characters, we'd get back to this relationship and I'd be like, we don't know anything about her, but like, anyways, there were several moments where I was like, only a man would write that. And not in a, like, a really weird, awkward, describing women's bodily functions way like we've seen in some cases, but just in a, like, only a man would think of it that way. The next book is one that I have been waiting for forever. I read 15 books of a series to finally get the main character and the love interest to this point. It took freaking long enough, not only for us to get to this point, but for this book to come out, and that is Peace Talks by Jim Butcher. Peace Talks is the 16th book in the Dresden Files, an adult fantasy series following Harry Dresden, wizard for hire, as he gets into various amounts of trouble and tries not to die. Listen, I know that Jim Butcher is not a perfect author. I know he has his issues, especially in the early Harry Dresden books. I feel like maybe he's gotten better in later books, except for the weird stuff with Molly that I really wish we would stop having happen. Like, I recognize that is a valid option in like 50 years, but maybe let's not harp on it now and be gross about it. I just ignore that part for my own sanity and because I love Karen Murphy, and so I will not stop. I have to finish this series for Karen's sake. It's funny how Murphy is the only one that is not overly sexualized, guys. It's just interesting. This is infamously the book where I pointed out how men write women, and my brother was like, oh, you're right. I know it's not perfect. I don't care. I really enjoyed this all the way up till the end, because what the heck was that ending? If you've read it, what was going on there? Like, I understand we only had to wait like 2 months for the next book. Like, it's coming out at the end of this month. I'm happy with that. But like, it was like Jim Butcher took a 3-act plot, wrote the first 2/3 of that, the first 2 acts, and then was like, we're just gonna leave off the last act. There was no real satisfying conclusion. There was just like, we were left with more questions than were answered. I didn't, like, it just I kind of understand what he was trying to do. I understand that he was trying to build to this big, climactic, cliffhangery moment, and he had parts of the plot that he could have used to do that. But the way he structured it, we build up to this moment that could be the big cliffhangery moment, and then we keep going, and it just kind of fizzles out in this really anticlimactic, like, what just happened? But also it has Karen Murphy in it, so I was happy with it. Like, literally, I read this book for like five scenes. 5 scenes, probably, because I love watching these two interact, and I've been waiting for them to do this for... The problem problem with liking slow burn is that it's very slow sometimes. The next book that we need to talk about is a buddy read that I did with Jasmine from L'Amour des Books. I will have Jasmine linked down below. I am sure she has done probably a vlog. I just am terrible at keeping up with BookTube at the moment because life and full-time job, and I can't watch YouTube at work anymore. I don't think that that's a smart idea considering I've only had this job like 4 months. But anyways, that book is Pride by Ibiza Boy. Pride is a young adult contemporary retelling of Pride and Prejudice and follows Zuri Benitez as she tries to navigate the gentrification of her neighborhood, which is not helped by the rich family that moves in across the street from her and her family. This is a reread. Jasmine said she was going to read it, or she wanted to read it, and I was like, we should read this together because I've been meaning to reread it, and she was like, I don't know, I said something about wanting to reread it. Somehow we got on the subject of why don't we do a buddy read, and so we ended up like taking just one weekend in August and just doing our best to read through it. She is a much faster reader than I am. I love this book. I know someone is going to be in the comments telling me how much they didn't love this book. I understand that. I'm just ignoring that for the sake of the friendship. I just love how immediately antagonistic Zuri and Darius are. Like, they just start out not liking each other because they don't really like each other's vibes. I like that. They're just like, we don't work. There's sparks from the beginning, not necessarily the good kind. I enjoy that. I had fun with it. I don't feel like I can judge her for just being as annoyed by this rich kid that's just moved into her neighborhood as she is. I feel like if I were in a similar position, I would possibly also be annoyed by the new rich guy. I just get annoyed by new people in general, so like, I love how Ibiza Boy interpreted a lot of the Pride and Prejudice aspects. I love how she doesn't do a complete one-to-one retelling. Ibiza Boy really says that this is a remix, not a retelling. Like, it's not the same stuff, but you still get that feeling, you still get those moments that make Pride and Prejudice as iconic as Pride and Prejudice is. So I still really enjoy, like, it's just, it was, to me, I found them to be so clever and fun to find. I mean, I was literally, the first time I listened to this, I was screaming in my car at one point as I figured out the parallels that were being made between this and the original source material. I lost my mind as I was driving down the interstate. I couldn't keep it in. The person in front of me probably thought something was terribly wrong. I was a mess. And then the final book that I read in August was Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. Alex Approximately is a YA contemporary about Bailey. It follows her as she moves across the country to her father's house in California. She's been talking with this guy named Alex online about the old movies that she loves, and kind of maybe sort of has a tentative date with him if she ever lets him know that she's just moved into the town that he lives in. She definitely does not have feelings for the hot security guard that works at the museum with her. Nope, not at all. Y'all, this was cute AF. I was not prepared for the amount of adorableness that was in this book. I just was not ready for it. It gave me life. It made me only want to read contemporaries, which is a very weird place for me to be in my life, especially considering I don't have a lot of contemporaries. It's mostly fantasy, because usually that's what I want. I don't even know what's happened this year. This starts out as like a little bit of a hate to love. Like, they do not get off on the right foot, and I really like that, but I also liked that we don't spend a lot of time with them being stupid and hating each other. Like, a good portion of this book is them building their relationship and being in their relationship, and I just loved it to death. Like, it was so much. I just needed it. I was so happy with it. I don't know, like, are there any, like, concrete terms that I can say? I don't know. I loved the main characters. Well, we have one main character, but, like, I loved Bailey as a person. I felt very much in tune with who Bailey was. I was like, this is me. If this, yeah, that I can see. It also made me want to go to a museum, which is a weird feeling for me. I haven't wanted to do that in a long time. Can't, but I want to go to a museum right now. Also to an aquarium. I don't even know what's going on with my life. I read this book and I was like, I want to go all of these places. Is it the pandemic? Is it just the book? I don't know. I will say the male love interest does take a little bit of warming up to, because he is not, he is a little bit of a prickly pear when you first meet him. Just in general, I think with people there are reasons for that. that I feel are mildly justified. Like, if I were him, I'd be slightly wary of strangers too, especially considering probably how often he is exposed to them, but he really is a sweetheart. Once you get past that first kind of just them being stupid meeting, I like him. I do. He's sweet. He's cute. He's a good guy, okay? He is. I just enjoy this. I also like the fact that this is a very, like, low-stakes plot. There's drama, but there's not a lot of drama when it comes to the romance, if that makes any sense. There's a little bit of a, like, not miscommunication, but they both kind of have their world rocked towards the end, and that has some repercussions in the relationship that they need to take some time to, like, sit back and, like, think about for a hot minute. But it still was just kind of low stakes and cozy and enjoyable. And, like, if you're looking for, I don't want to say an easy read, but if you're looking for something that's very fluffy, but it's still, like, it's not empty fluff. It's just, like, going to make you happy and make you feel good about life. Read this book. So, started out a little bit rocky at the beginning of this month, but we made it. We did it. It happened. I survived. I read some books. Ta-da! Let me know down in the comments if you have read any of these books, what you thought of them, if any of them are interesting to you, if you have any questions. You know, just talk to me down in the comments. Let's chat. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about books. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, I will have videos over here that you might enjoy as well. Check 1 or 2 of them out. It would be great. I would appreciate it. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!